Welcome to the podcast. I'm Brady Daniel along with Dr. Kyra Gutierrez, but today it is just as I talk about all things healthy, all things hopeful, and all things healing. And today we're going to be talking about failure and failing. And again, it's kind of like, oh, turn the channel. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to give attention and or focus and or awareness on that, Brady. No, thank you. But really from the standpoint of acknowledging where the mind meets body so that validation, to be seen, to be heard, to be understood can be acknowledged two in one. The mind and body working in tandem in assimilation so that therefore we can take that step as we invite God into that area. So now that there's three in one integrated, all collectively in one, so that we can get to where we want to be, acknowledging where we are to where we want to be, and taking that step, that next step, that first step, whatever it may be, as we look at it. So today we are looking at failing. We are looking at the dynamic of why is it that we need to consider this. When you think about little ones as they learn to start to become mobile and the things that they are doing, what we see much of the time is that as they attempt to take their first step, as they attempt to kind of rock a little bit and kind of create some momentum, if you will, what happens is that they fall. And when we see the determination and the tenacity on their face, that they're ready to get up and they're ready to go again. But as we look at it and see it from our perspective, are we upset? Are we frustrated? Are we of the mindset, oh my goodness, I can't believe you cannot get this down. You have already attempted to take 3 or 4 steps and it is beyond ridiculous that you can't figure this out. Says no parent, says nobody that's watching a toddler attempt to take their first step and or their next step. Everybody is so elated that they attempted to take that step and that they maybe got further or the determination is there for them to take that step, that everybody is going wild in anticipation and for excitement about what it is that just happened. Okay, Brady, well, that's great, but what does that mean and how does that apply to us? Well, when we think about the dynamic of what it is that we're attempting to do, whatever it may be, and as a result of us taking that step, if we fall down, what does that mean? If we fall down, what does that mean? Well, it means that I failed. Okay, but did we learn something in the midst of the failing? Because the detrimental piece to this is when we take that failing and we adopt a mindset, a subconscious belief associated around that we adopt that and it gets in us. It gets a part of our inner working beings. It gets to be a part of our cellular memory. It gets to be a part of all of us to the extent that we actually adopt a belief system, a mindset associated around failing to the point of being a failure. If there's one thing that you could see throughout the consistency of my life is that I have failed. I have failed time and time again. If you look at it, whether being in church positions before failing, absolutely. Being fired from those positions, absolutely. Seeing that failure is a part of my life. Well, Brady, do you ever battle with the idea of failure? Absolutely. But the dynamic of making sure that I have a proper context to see this through helps me to understand what is it that I can learn from my past to allow myself to be stronger in the very present. You see, we all fail. What we do with those is determine whether or not that we're going to be able to take another step, or do we just kind of sit down? Because if we go back and look at that analogy, that imagery of the toddlers attempting to take another step, when they fall down, do they just sit in it? Or are they already in a position to attempt to try to get back up to take another step? And this is one of the great things that we can learn about children is the tenacity that these young ones have about the idea of not allowing the fact of failing keep them down. No, determined to take that next step. Well, the dynamic of as the mind goes, the body follows. And so in this, when we find ourselves in a place where we fall down and we stay down, what is it about that feeling that has been assimilated within us to the point that, guess what, we don't feel like we can take another step? And we typically would associate that with apathy. We would associate that with apathy. And as a result of that, the mindset is already to the point of indifference. What does it matter? I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to be able to achieve that. I'm never going to be able to take that step, whatever it may be. And as a result of that, the apathy that we're feeling is the energy associated with those thoughts that have trickled within the body. But is it failure or is it failing? And as the beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, you get to be the beholder. How is it that you see the failing? Do you see it as an indoctrination to who you are? That, guess what? I didn't get it done. Okay, but did you learn something? Yeah, but Brady, that seems like that seems like you're trying to give me something that's really not there to give me. Okay, fair enough. But maybe you aren't giving yourself enough credit in the process of actually acknowledging that, guess what, that if you actually learn something about the process, about yourself, about God, and about the atmosphere, then as a result of that is going to allow you to reorient to the extent of being able to be in a position to do the very thing next time, then as a result of that, was that failure necessary and needed so that therefore you can be more successful as you take your next step? I'm still in this process. You look at time and time again, I have failed. And every time getting to stand back up, sometimes needing friends to come alongside me and saying, "Hey, Brady, it's going to be okay, but hey, we gotta take a step. We gotta stand up so that we can take a step." And I've needed that. Who are those people in your corner to the point that if you do fall down, that as a result of that, they're there to dust you off and say, "Hey, guess what? I got you. I see you," and that stings what it is that you've been through. But as a result of it processing the sting, how do we take that step? How do we take that step? And sometimes the step is actually just looking down below and actually seeing the grass beneath your feet, the dirt beneath your feet, the carpet between your toes, whatever that may be, to the extent of actually acknowledging, where am I in this process? Did I get back up? Well, yes, I did. Okay, right there. Guess what? That is progress. And as we assess these progressions and actually acknowledge them as wins, then what does that do for us? It creates a little energy, a little bit of momentum, a little bit of forward progress, to the extent that just as an infant, they rock back a little bit to the point of actually getting to the place of taking that first step. That's exactly what we do as adults in some ways. But sometimes we're really, really hard on ourselves. Maybe more times than just sometimes, maybe a lot. We're really, really difficult and hard on ourselves to the point that, Brady, I didn't get it done. Okay? Well, if God was looking at you just as a proud parent is to that infant, of saying, "Oh my goodness, that just fell down," and they are losing their minds to the extent of being elated about the motivation, the momentum, the opportunity that they even tried to take the step. How do we see ourselves from the standpoint of God being like that? And for us being those parents, where did we learn to be ecstatic about children not being able to take a step, but attempting to? Even if they learned to fail, but they were still in the process of attempting. And as a result of that, we are elated with the excitement about the step that they attempted to take, that they tried to take, but they didn't take. Where did we learn that? Where did we get that? We didn't get that within. We didn't give ourselves that. We learned that. And I believe that we learned that from God. And as a result of that, if we learn that from God, then as a result, when we are attempting to take a step and we fall, I'm curious, could we see it through His lens? Could we feel it through His filter and experience what it is that He is saying to us? But sometimes we miss it because we're so focused in on where we are or where we're not instead of where we are. Yeah, but Brady, I'm still where I am. Yeah, but guess what? Were you here a week ago, a month ago, a year ago? Well, actually, I was. Okay, even in the same place of motivation, in the same place of determination, in the same place of willingness and desire? Well, no. But geographically, I'm in the same spot, understandably so. But look at all the things that you just said are different. Is that progress? Is that a win? And can you acknowledge it as a win from the standpoint of being able to allow yourself to be at a place of taking that next step? See, failure is an identity. Failing is a part of life. And the more that we can learn from the failures and adjust, then as a result of that, I think success can be imminent. I remember one of the great hitters of all time, he used to say, don't let the fear of striking out keep you from swinging. And you may say, well, yeah, Brady, but that individual, Babe Ruth, he was a phenom in the area of baseball. And he led the league striking out quite a few times. The dynamic of how have we allowed the fear of getting to where we want to get to, but the fear of not getting there holding us back? Have we adopted a belief system that we are a failure? Because every time that we think through the idea of what it is that we want to do, how are we seeing that? Is it through that lens? Are we experiencing it through that filter? Because if so, that filter, that lens will hold us back. And pain carries a message that says, hey, it's better for you not to attempt it, or it's better for you not to try than for you to try and fail. And as a result of that, have to experience all those emotions and all those thought processes yet again. The message of pain is contradictory to the message of the cross. And I believe the message of the cross is sitting there calling your name, saying, come, I got you. I got you. Just as any parent would as a child is attempting to take their first step. So where are you today? Have we attempted to take a step in some areas, but we have fallen down? And that we have miscategorized them as a failure instead of failing? Well, Brady, is this just wordplay? Again, you could see it that way. But I believe that there is something monumental behind this. And if we can see the difference of that, then as a result of that, it may unlock something within ourselves. And if we can see areas of failing as just that, failing, but did you learn something about yourself, about the atmosphere, about what to do next time, about God? Then as a result of that, maybe necessary, maybe needed, but was it a failure? Failing can be a part of life. What we do with it can determine so much of where we get to and what we want to do. So as we think about today and the application of the Health, Hope, and Healing podcast, really getting before yourself and saying, have I believed that I am a failure? Have there things that I've experienced that have a message attached with it of pain that has attempted to tell me that I am something that I'm not? Even though I have failed, that today if I can see that failing differently, then maybe, just maybe, I can take another step. And day by day, precept upon precept, I can eventually get to where I want to be. As I continue to fail and continue to learn and continue to reorient and adjust and continue to take that step. Failing can be a part of our everyday, but failure does not have to. Have a great day.